Combat is not magic. It is a predictable arrangement of variables. When you understand the system, you remove the mystery and gain control. In traditional martial arts, combat is often treated as a mystery. Techniques are called secret, success depends on anecdotal stories, and effectiveness relies on innate talent or years of practice. This mystique creates uncertainty, your greatest disadvantage in a conflict. When you face an attack you don't understand, you freeze. Your decision-making paralyzes, your responses become ineffective, and the fear of the unknown overwhelms you. Mystery is the enemy of proficiency. At modern combat martial arts, we teach a different paradigm, the White Lotus system of unarmed combat. This system removes the mystery by breaking combat into a logical, scientific structure. You stop guessing and start understanding. That shift transforms your ability to respond under pressure. The White Lotus system demystifies combat by organizing it into 6 interconnected elemental categories. These categories provide the intellectual framework for understanding exactly what happens in any combative situation. Think of it as seeing the mechanics behind a magic trick. Once you know the mechanics, the illusion loses its power. The human elements describe the body parts and emotional states involved. Biomechanical elements map the paths, tension, and planes of motion. Combative elements define timing, distance, and tactical goals. Environmental elements account for lighting and surfaces. Processing elements cover observation and recognition. Psychology elements address emotional state and confidence. Together, these categories turn chaos into a predictable arrangement of variables. A confrontation is not a blur of motion. It is a specific arrangement of human elements, a right arm, a torso, an aggressive emotional state moving along precise biomechanical elements, a direct path with firm muscle tension on a horizontal plane. The system trains you to see this structure, not just the chaos. You identify the distance, the timing initiative, and the tactical goal. You recognize the environmental factors that affect your response. This analysis moves you from a state of surprise to one of recognition. You no longer react to an attack as a vague threat. You see a biomechanical action driven by a predictable psychological state. That clarity is your first advantage. Every action occurs within a context. Combative elements like timing initiatives and distance references define when and where the conflict happens. Environmental elements such as lighting and surfaces affect your movement and options. The system provides the framework to identify this context instantly. You stop being surprised by the situation and start recognizing it as a set of known conditions. For example, you learn to adjust your response when fighting on a slippery floor versus stable ground. You understand how distance changes the timing of your counter. This contextual awareness removes the guesswork. You move from reacting to anticipating because you know what the conditions demand. Combat is not only physical, it is mental. The system maps the processing elements of observation, recognition, and execution for both you and your opponent. You learn to observe what the opponent does, recognize the pattern, and execute your response. At the same time, you account for their mental state, their emotional state, and skill set confidence. This orchestration allows you to predict their next move. You do not rely on guesswork. You know that a fearful opponent will telegraph their actions. You know that a confident opponent will commit to a path. You use this knowledge to disrupt their timing and impose your own. The mental game becomes a systematic process, not a mystery. The result of this systematic approach is clarity over confusion, efficiency over effort, and confidence over fear. You no longer see an attack. You see a specific biomechanical action driven by a predictable psychological state at a measurable distance and timing initiative. You apply the minimal mechanical action to disrupt the specific elemental arrangement coming at you. Training transforms from memorizing techniques to understanding principles. You develop unshakable confidence because you have a systematic solution for a systematic problem. At Modern Combat Martial Arts, or MCMA, we teach the physical mechanics through basic and intermediate skill development. The White Lotus Digital Library provides the intellectual framework. Together, they replace uncertainty with understanding. Schedule your trial class at Modern Combat Martial Arts. Build the physical foundation. Replace uncertainty with understanding.